Solvitur Ambulando, The Adventures of Steve and Dixie by Stephen Breakstone, copyright 2026, snippets from my journal, episode 40, month 15, August 1987. August 3rd, 1987, Monday, the 9 Lazy Six Ranch, Parachute, Colorado. Lessons in frustration. Where the F are the horses? That goddamn mare, Matt Dillon. My biggest problem is my fear of knocking her on the head. No longer for her sake, because I'm beginning to hate her. I'm just scared of being thrown again. I've hit her a couple of times, but not enough to make it really count. Horses are tougher than people. And Lee is hardly a help. His idea of help is giving me a club and telling me to put the horse into a spin. I'm pissed at him and the horses. I go out for hours looking for them. All the while, Dillon is giving me grief, and I still have no idea where the hell the horses are. This morning, I just finally gave up. And then they just sauntered in on their own at about 10 a.m. Goddamn sons of bitches. Now I know why they all share the same last name. It seems so out of sorts to be so tense up here in heaven. What's wrong with this picture? Later. A decision. Looking at the map of Idaho, I see a place called Sun Valley, right next to Ketchum, Idaho. Something sounds familiar about the place. I'm told there's a lot of skiing there. That's where we'll head when we leave the 96 Ranch. I think that will be in the last week of August, or around Labor Day. August 4th, 1987, Tuesday. How you doing with that Dillon mare? Finally, Lee asked me. You're going to have to get on her and show me what to do, and I'll walk alongside and watch. He didn't like that suggestion. It sounded good to me. Get on her, he said. I mounted. He took the reins from my hand and showed me how I have to pull on one just to get her into a spin. Spin her till she's dizzy and annoyed. After a while, it'd be easier to listen to you than having the bit pull out one side of her mouth. And if that don't work, hit her. Hit her good. That's what God gave you two hands for. Any special advice on how to stay on her? Yeah, don't fall off. That's what God gave you two legs for, one for each side of the horse to grab around with. So, there beside the corral, the tack room, and the cabin, I climbed aboard Matt Dillon. For a change, she gave me hassles from minute one, and Lee was right there to witness it. I appreciated that for a change. She didn't wait to express her moodiness only when we got down the path and out of sight. This time, it was in plain sight. She didn't realize it, but by being obnoxious right off, she was cooperating. Now Lee can see exactly what my problem has been. She immediately took off in 3 directions at once. I tried to do what Lee said. Pull on her reins! Pull! 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 He yelled. I pulled. It didn't work. Hit her! Hit her good! So, with one hand, I hit her with the club. The second hand, my second hand, was pulling on one rein to get her into a spin. And with my third hand, I tried to hang on. At least it seemed that way. Matt Dillon ran towards the corral, stopped short, and tried to throw me over the fence. Then she turned around and ran off and then back towards the corral and tried to dump me into the water trough. I hung on. I was hitting her, but half the time I was missing. I was being bronked. She tried to make me the headless horseman. She ran into the tack shed and realizing, I'm sure, that with me on her back, the crossbeam was at my neck level. Quickly and reflexively raising my arm, I stiff-armed the beam and thwarted her plans. My head was saved and stayed connected to my neck, fortunately. Then she finally calmed down. I won this battle. I think Lee was impressed I didn't fall off, and that I was still alive. Only then did Matt Dillon and I head down the path, down towards the lower road, to the open pasture where she usually goes a little berserk. And today was no different. But this time, I felt ready. She started running in the wrong direction. I got control and bammed her on the head. Bam, 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 over and over again. Side note. Please keep in mind the time, the place, and the characters involved in this less than enlightened style of training. I do not condone this today, and I imagine and hope there are more effective and humane best practices for training horses. For a change, the idea of hitting her didn't bother me. She kept running. She ran right into the thick section of a forest as fast as she could go, me pulling the reins back as much as I could. Who would persevere? Bang, bang, bang! She just kept running. And she purposely ran between two narrow stands of trees that she knew would hit my leg on both sides of her. And she was right. My left knee slammed into an aspen really hard. I thought I heard something pop. Finally, the brush got so thick that she actually had to stop running. And her breathing was hard, and her nostrils were flaring, and her sides were ballooning and deflating, and her right leg was shaking, just like snappers. I was concerned that maybe I even caused her some nerve damage. We rested for a while, and then we tried again. We both had calmed down. We were both okay. I wonder if something maybe shifted for her. I can now safely say that she is workable. Not 100%, but getting there. Well, I think. A few times she had thoughts of, well, I don't know what, but thoughts of something. And I would put her into a harmless spin and, well, she would think the better of it. I'm winning. And more importantly, learning. Just like I went parachuting and rock climbing, and I needed a coach. As much as I cursed him for not helping, Lee actually did help me quite a bit. Although I'll safely say that I did most of the work myself. I, more and more, am becoming a horseman. August 7th, 1987, Friday. As if it really matters what day it is. Sometimes, when the horses go the wrong way, or towards the wrong pasture, or are just plain hard to find, I find myself yelling, "God damn," or "fuck," or "son of a bitch," quite a bit. I bet if I was with someone else, it wouldn't be so bad, and the ridiculousness of it would even be considered funny. But getting up early every day to find the horses to corral them is losing its fun, its charm, its charisma, its romance. That sucks. It should be a dream come true. It was a few weeks ago. When I finally brought him home on this day, I noticed some porcupine quills in April's hoof. And then, silly me, I thought she'd allow me to just pull him out. "Lee!" I called. He'd know what to do. He took a quick look, tried to pull him out too. No good. He walked right over to the tack room with nary a word. Out he came with some rope and hobbles, and before I knew it, this 150-pound, 69-year-old man wrestled and tired out an 800-pound, 3-year-old mare. In minutes, this horse was on the ground. Then Lee took pliers and pulled out the quills one by one. April, completely prone, just let him do it. I was right. Lee knew what to do. No problem. I even took some pictures. August 9th, 1987, Sunday. Dixie's birthday. 2 years old and better all the time. Shines like a diamond in a goat's ass. That's just another Haywardism that sticks out. Obviously, it refers to something quite obvious. Grand Valley Days. A summer festival day of fun, parades, rodeo, and food, celebrating summer, Colorado, American heritage, and the Grand Valley. A wonderful parade filled with floats of cowboys and cops and robbers and old-time tractors and implements, and no political promotions. How nice. The rodeo started later in the day. As far as rodeos go, it wasn't anything spectacular, but it was lots of fun. Professionals showed us the way it was supposed to be done, and youngsters showed us the pitfalls of learning. My favorite, though, something I had never seen before, was wild cow riding. 3 teams of 3, on the word go, had the task of saddling a wild cow, having one of the team get on the cow's back, and with the other 2 hazing it along without touching, had to get the cow over the line at the far end of the field. This turned out to be one of the funniest things I had ever seen. The 3 teams started out at the same time, and Team 1 got their cow saddled first. Then the chosen rider on the team jumped on top of the saddle on the cow, and the saddle just spun around and over and set itself under the cow. Not a good way to ride a cow. The second team took a long 7 minutes to even get the saddle on the cow. The cow either didn't want to play or had learned different directions on how to put on a saddle. The third team was just hopeless. They didn't know what they were doing, but it was fun watching them try everything with an uncooperative cow. Then, back to the first team, they finally reset themselves and got the cow to move on down the field. It looked as if they were going to win easy, only for the cow to stop dead on the line. The cow refused to cross the line, no matter what. Don't ever tell me any animal is dumb. I can't believe it didn't know what it was doing. For over 5 hysterical, side-splitting minutes, the cow didn't budge, no matter what the team did to entice it or scare it or whatever, until it finally moved. To set aside when Team 2 finally had their cow across the line and Team 2 won. That was so much fun to watch. What a gift. Side note, I've seen quite a few rodeos since 1987, and I now believe that some rodeo events are abusive and disrespectful. However, I remember thinking that this event didn't seem abusive at all. In this case, actually, I think the cows took advantage of the human handlers and entertained the spectators. Well done. August 12th, 1987, Wednesday. I told Lee and Judy that Dixie and I were going to leave within 2 weeks. I need to get back on the road. I'm getting frustrated and upset at things I shouldn't. I'm also lonely. Lee said that he could see that I was changing and figured I was getting itchy feet. What he also saw was me snapping back at his snaps. Sometimes he was a grouch and I could usually let it slide. No longer do I have that ability. We've been here for over a month. It feels like we've been here so much longer. There's so much good, but the bad has begun to crescendo. Dixie, of course, is still enjoying herself, but I cannot. I feel like I've begun to lose myself. Nothing is mine except Dixie. The land is Lee's, the horses, cabin, food, trailer is all Lee's. I wrangle his horses, I built his extension, I mend his fences. I'm not complaining, mind you, it's just that it doesn't sit right with me. I've had my own for so long. I have no desire to go back to just being a follower. At first, it was great. I was getting an education. It was an experience I was hoping for as a cross-country traveler. But all those notions have now faded. To stay on this ranch would be like repeating the same grade. This is how I feel. It's time to graduate. It's time to move on. I could still learn things, but it would be diminishing returns for sure. As much as I like and admire Lee and Judy, I miss young company, peers. Maybe if I had a friend to wrangle with, I'd be able to laugh, but now riding in the woods every morning has lost its glory. Not unlike undercutting Delmer's fields way back in Kansas. The more things change, the more they stay the same. I am changing, growing, I hope, but I'm still the guy who needs more poignancy in his life, not doing the same thing over and over. Lee and Judy both understand my needs, but they're not happy about it. That makes me feel good and bad at the same time. But my life is walking across America, and that is where my head is at. I cannot deny my heart and my feet, for they're both a calling, as is the road. August 14th, 1987. It is true I get lonely out on the trails, even with Snapper, and even Dixie, who has been coming out too. I just don't let her do the wrangling. But she has a blast of a time. Unfortunately, as much of a thrill it is for me to have her out here with me, it doesn't change the situation of needing to move on. Later. Funny how when Uno Mule is in the corral, he and Dixie are buddies, as long as Dixie is on her side of the fence. Out in the woods, Dixie goes to say howdy do, but her ornery friend wonders about her canine instincts. And so he takes no chances. He turns on Dixie and head down runs right after her. Dixie, being no fool, takes off. Perhaps it's just the game they play. When the horses, milling about when we find them, decide to run on home, Dixie's also smart enough to get out of the way. Stampeding horses have the right of way. Dixie also showed me something the other day. Lee was gone for the day, and Judy Yao, a lady who had come up once before, decided to drop by for a horseback ride. So I saddled up a couple of horses and out we went. I have never actually taken anyone out on the regular horseback riding trail, so I had to make it up. All I knew were the trails and the woods and the mountains that I go on every morning, knowing where the horses often, but not always, are. So, accompanied by my dog, Judy and I hit the trail. Her main desire, said Judy, was just to get on a horse and be out in the woods. I figured I could handle that, and out we went. Having a good time talking with new company and with Dixie running around, I got us sort of lost in the woods. I mean, I knew where we were and basically where the cabin was, but I couldn't sniff out an exact trail to have the two spots meet up. Well, there was no problem. There was no rush, so we just kept going. I knew I'd figure it out eventually, and Judy didn't mind the extended time riding. After a while, talking and riding and secretly thinking, how the heck do we get back to the cabin, I asked Judy, have you seen Dixie in the last half hour? Dixie was nowhere to be seen or heard. I was a bit concerned, but not too worried. I figured she was somewhere within Lee's 290 some odd acres. About 45 minutes later, after going through some thick brush where we had to get off and walk the horses, and then after getting back on the horses, having them slip in a heavy bog that came right up to their bellies, and I probably almost broke their legs, we actually found our way home from an entirely different direction than I expected. But I got us home. I finally found a familiar trail. I never actually had a doubt. Well, except for those times when I really had no idea where I was going. As we got closer to the cabin and the corral, I considered I should probably just drop Judy off and I'd head back into the woods to look for Dixie. But what do you know? There she was, by the cabin, waiting to greet us. Maybe she was leading the way and I forgot to follow. Maybe she got bored with Judy and me and went looking for fun. Maybe she went off for a while to chase a scent, and when she came back to where she last saw us, we were long gone. Anyway, Dixie found her way home through the woods all by herself. She makes me so proud. Side note, these days, if I came home without the dog, well, I just wouldn't come home. Laugh out loud. I really feel like I've become a good horseman. I could ride any of the horses and take control. Judy Mule, named long before Lee's girlfriend was around, and that Arab mare, Lacey, have also tried to give me problems. They too are herd bound and don't like to be ridden when the other horses aren't around. Anyway, usually after a few disagreeable moments, I win the arguments without too much of a fuss. I must be doing something right. I no longer even resort or actually even believe in hitting them. A good spin does the trick much more effectively. August 19th, 1987, Wednesday. I hate the fact that I hate being here. I hate that I hate doing any type of work and that I can't wait to leave. I wish I'd left before all this could set in so deep. Part of it is because I'm not doing anything for me and I almost feel like a slave. This is not Lee's doing, of course, just the working of my own mind. Judy tells me that I've been one of the best. I don't even feel like I've been. I feel like I've been kind of lazy at times. Also, lately, I've been thinking how used to being alone I am. But one day, one year, sometime, be it on the road, in Sun Valley, back in New York, in a Seattle, or in Alaska, or perhaps even in another country, it will all be over. I'll meet Miss Wright and it will all change. And all this will be gone forever. The very real here and now will all be a memory. But for today, let's understand what this is. All decisions are mine. I am responsible for the most part only to myself and Dixie. It's a very alone life and lifestyle, and only occasionally lonely. But the loneliness I feel is for companionship of friends and peers, not necessarily a girl. But that is certainly my preference. Some of my strong desires for a girl is just hormonal and simple human nature. And although sometimes I think of girls more times than I prefer, it can get in the way. I enjoy and take advantage of what I have now, grow from it and with it and love it, and will try to continue to do so until it changes. And perhaps that is the karma, the fate that James Clavell speaks of in his novel Shogun about the philosophy of life's occurrences. It's accepting what is, things that are out of an individual's control and using it and not worrying about it and being upset with it. To just go on and enjoy what is. Control as much of your life as possible, but don't fret over things that you have no control over. I can't control what I do with my life, but I cannot, for instance, control the actions of others or even the climate. Side note: upon review, here and in other paragraphs, I don't think I used the word karma or understood the concept fully or correctly. But I've chosen not to edit it out of this series of my journal because I don't want to lose the flavor of the young man I was who considered and wrote that word, even if my understanding of the word and concept was inaccurate. August 23rd, 1987, Sunday. It's been raining, and we had to cancel a trip back up to the top of the mountain with some of the folks from town. Karma. We're leaving in just a few days, that's for certain. And since that is the case, I've relaxed a bit and I'm actually more mellow. The stupid little things that used to make me curse now make me laugh, even appreciate. For soon it will all be a pleasant memory, and I'm enjoying my excitement about getting back on the road. Yesterday, though, Dixie almost changed those plans. Going for the horses down the lower road, I heard the bells over and beyond the creek. I told Dixie to stay put in. Snapper and I went down a little further. My strategy was to get behind them, and then with the whoops and hays and get on, little doggies, we'd start the mad scramble towards home. Side note: I've been informed that doggies originally referred to motherless calves, not horses. Nevertheless, that's what I had seen on TV, and that's what I yelled, and I'm sharing what I yelled on the trail, not what I should have yelled to get the herd going. And they didn't really seem to care. Well, I don't think. This has always been the fun part. Even when the looking and listening for the horses got monotonous, there's an excitement in the air as the herd, along with my horse and me and the dogs, push at full throttle. Wow, wee wow! Exhilaration and energy surging through the mountains, and the sound of thundering hoofs. But on this day, Snapper and I headed down a bit, and I sent Snapper across the creek to get the herd moving. And the horses, hiding in their camouflage spots, came out of the proverbial woodwork and across the splashing water. From my vantage point, I yelled to make sure that they ran uphill instead of down. And we were off, galloping and yelling and kicking up dust, and me yelling, "Come on, Dixie, come on, girl!" No Dixie. But there was no stopping us. I mean, I whistled for her and yelled some more. No Dixie. Snapper snapping away and I bringing up the rear, and it was a fun time for all, for human, for horses, for dogs, or at least one dog. And then speeding around the curves on the trail at limited sight vision, that last dash for home, we finally hit a straightaway and I could see Dixie. She was either one, leading the pack, or two, running for her young life. Dixie, ears back for less drag, and legs moving like pistons, was running. I have never seen her run so fast. Sure is a good thing she didn't turn around when she heard me calling, or she would have become another item on the House of Pancakes menu. It sure was some sight. Finally, she must have put on her blinker, ran off to one side, and just got out of the road until the horses passed her, and I finally caught up to her. And then together, we ran on up to the corral and headed for breakfast in the cabin. That was a very special moment and experience, an apotheosis of the fun of wrangling horses in the early morning forest mountains of Colorado. Side note: By now, you've probably noticed a pattern. And once again, it was not only the roads and the hills and the mountains that had me going up and down, it was my thoughts and feelings about my experiences that were going up and down. Does the pattern continue to show up along this journey? We'll see. Thanks for listening to my sharing. Peace.